Creating forms with Microsoft is an easy way to engage your students and collect feedback. To begin, open Forms and choose New Form. Once you choose New Form, you're given a blank template. The first thing you want to do is save it as something that you can find easily. So give it a title. From Untitled Form, I'm going to call this Student Form. You can see that it generates some suggestions I've used previously automatically. If I change my title, it'll update the suggestions. Let's say I start with math. Now you can see math questions that I've used in the past. There they are. I can select these and automatically import them into my new form. Once I've selected my question and added it, I can now edit my question to fit whatever I need for this particular form. I can also add new. Forms has a lot of different features, so we're going to take a quick look at each one. First is your multiple choice question. Start with your question and add your suggested answers. You can also add other answers, as many as you would like, or add another option. Now that I've added my questions, I can choose whether or not I want people to choose one answer or multiple. If I have multiple answers, I can use no limit to choose as many as they want, or equal, maybe there are 2 correct answers. Or, at most, they could choose 3 of the 4. I set my parameters and I make my question required. I like the required question because students can't move on until they've selected it. I also always have an option when I click the picture icon to either insert an image from OneDrive, I can upload it from my computer, or I can search it. If I use image search, I simply type what I'm looking for in the box. Maybe I'm looking for a question, or maybe a person. Whatever you're looking for, simply search it, and these are all Creative Commons. So once I add, I can now use this in my form. We'll take a look at what the formatting looks like for students a little bit later. Let's add another question. The next type I have is a text question. When I add my text question, simply type your question and add your picture, or you can screenshot questions from a test that you already have. Now I have a choice of whether this is a short answer or a long answer. I also have an ellipses on the right-hand side where I can add a subtitle for clarification or put restrictions on my answers. The next type of question we're going to look at is a rating question. So something like, how do you like this class? I can rate it out of 5 stars, or I can say exactly how many I'm looking for, from 1 to 10, or as little as 2. I can also change from stars to numbers or hearts, or however I want to describe this. Let's give this the thumbs up. So I go down and select thumbs like. Now my students can rate this from 1 to 3 thumbs up, and I can add subtitles or other labels to clarify what I'm looking for. So a 1 thumb like might be something I don't like very much. And a 3 thumb like is something that I love. The next type of question that you'll have is your date question. Maybe you have this for scheduling student conferences or parent-teacher conferences. When would you like to schedule the conference? This gives them the option of a calendar that they can choose from. The next type of question that I need to use my drop-down menu, and this is a sorting question. So I need to put something in a particular order. So I go ahead and create my question, adding as many options as I need. And on the right-hand side under my ellipses, I have an option to shuffle all of the suggestions. The next type of question, again going to the drop-down menu, would be a Likert. This is more of a rubric where we can give certain choices for students and they can sort them accordingly. So things that are most important to them, you can choose the options of the categories or the options of the columns. So I'm either adding a statement, or I can use the plus button to add other choices. This might be used for something like clarifying how students like to learn. I want to use my subtitle to clarify the questions that I'm looking for, and I have choices from I dislike this to it's all I want to do. Now I want to use upload file to allow students to turn in PDFs or other types of files right to me. When I choose upload file, students can turn things in directly to me. I want to start by telling them what they should be turning in, so adding your final graphic for your project. And I can give a subtitle as well, but I can limit how many different files students can turn in and how large the file can be. I also have a choice to choose file type. Simply unselect any type of file you don't wish students to upload. Now that I've chosen what type of files my students can upload, I want to give them an option to tell me from a scale of 0 to 10 how much they enjoy something or they want to do something. So I might say, how likely are you to recommend this class? And I'll use my subtitles to clarify what I'm looking for. You can see my scale goes from 0 to 10, and I can change the labels. Right now, 0 is not at all likely, and 10 being extremely likely. The final choice that we have when I use my drop-down menu under Add New Question is to add a different section. Sections are really good because they break up the work for students and allow them to focus only on one or two things at a time. That way, students don't get overwhelmed. So for the sake of visualization, let's add a new question to my second section. You can see it gives me suggestions based on what I've typed for my question, and I'm going to go ahead and add all of these. Yes, no, and maybe, and I'm going to make it required. So now that I've built a form using all of the available options, let's go ahead and see what it looks like using the preview button at the top right. I can look either as a computer or what my students might see if they were to look on their mobile phone. Under a computer, you can see here now I can take the quiz as a sample, and I'll see exactly what it looks like from their perspective. Once I've gone through all of my questions and answered them accordingly, I see that I also have an option from a student view of using my immersive reader. This is an adaptation built right into every form in Microsoft. So students that have reading difficulty or even visualization difficulty can get more help in reading their questions. Now that I've completed my form, as a teacher, I have a responses tab at the top. Now I can see the average time it takes to complete, how many people have turned it in, and I get a nice snapshot of every question and how it was answered. I can also see files that were uploaded or dates that were selected right here. When I go back to the top, I can view things individually. So if I only want to see one student at a time or one question at a time, I can open in Excel or even delete responses. So when I view results individually, I have a list here of every person who's turned in this particular form, and I can cycle through using my left and right answers. I can delete individual responses or print one out for a student to reference later. You can now see how each individual student has submitted this particular form. If I go to their files, when I click on it, it opens a new tab with the file that they've submitted. Now that my form is working correctly and I can view all of the responses, how will I collect these responses? Use Collect Responses in the top right of your window. Now I can limit who has access to this, either specific people in my organization or individuals that I add. I can create a QR code right in Forms for students to scan, or I can embed this right into our learning management using this code right here.